Steven Jackson played in the NBA for a long, long time, 15 years in the NBA, 6 playoff appearances. He joined us now live. So be honest, I did. It's funny, Steven. To win in the playoffs, there's usually 4 or 5 things you need. You know this from San Antonio. You got to play defense. Well, Brooklyn's not great defensively. You have to have pretty good chemistry. Well, hell, those guys barely play together. You got to have your health. Oh, James Harden's hurt. You have to have a coach that's been around the block. Steve Nash has never coached even in high school, head coach. And I look at Brooklyn, Steven, and I'm like, they don't have anything you're supposed to need to win in the playoffs, but they're so ridiculously talented. It's like AAU basketball. They just got more dudes. Could they win this series without James Harden, in your opinion?
You also need some luck. Luck is a big part of it too. Every team that's won a championship has something going in their favor that didn't have something to do with the game. They definitely have a chance. You know, when you have KD and Kyrie on this team, you know, these guys can get it done. But I don't see it being easy or even it's going to be hard without James. Just put it like that. They need James to win this series. I don't see them winning it without James, obviously. They had 2 games against Milwaukee. The last 2 games they played in regular season against Milwaukee, they needed James. And that's the reason why they got beat. I mean, Giannis averaged 40 on them the last 2 games. So, and he had a great game last game. Yep. I think the reason why they won was because of Blake. Blake played. Blake was the enforcer. Blake was physical. Blake was diving on the floor. And you need somebody to hit them in the mouth, and Blake was that guy. Not having James takes a big dynamic away from the team because they don't have that playmaker that's going to make plays, that's going to get that triple-double. And James was a guaranteed triple-double. James was my MVP before he got hurt. So even though they have KD and Kyrie, they're going to miss James. There's going to be a real hard task for them to come out this series without him.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. To your point, James has really been the glue on that franchise. So I was saying this morning about the Clippers. I know they won the series, but good God, why did it take 7 games? They're better. They're deeper. They've got the championship coach. There's something about the Clippers and Kawhi, maybe that he's nonverbal. He's the opposite of you. You talk. You're emotional. You emote. I never know what I'm getting from Kawhi. Do you trust the Clippers going forward?
Yeah, I do. One thing about it, when the playoffs come, regardless of what happens, when it clicks, it clicks. The Clippers really never had an identity. This series, they had to find the identity. Guys found their role. Role players make big shots and took big shots. Paul George played off Kawhi. Kawhi is the best player on the team, and Paul George has to be his Robin. And I think they're starting to figure out their identity. Ty Lue did a great job of making adjustments games 6 and 7.
Yeah.
That's why they won the series. Rick Carlisle, he's my guy, but he didn't make no adjustments. Luka dominated all year, and they won games all year with a one-man band. You can't do that in the playoffs, and that's the reason why they're home vacation right now, getting ready to go on a fishing trip.
Yeah. You know, Luka, it's interesting because Porzingis, to me, is just a wildly overpaid 3. Hardaway's more of a 3. I don't think they have a 2. I would be willing with Luka. And here's kind of how, Steve, and I think about it. Like, Portland's never gotten Dame a 2. They keep trying to tell you they got 2s. Nurkic isn't a 2. I would give up everybody to get Luka a 2, but it may take a special kind of player. Where do you think Dallas is at going forward? Are they just going to end up being like the Dirk Mavs, which is one great guy and a bunch of disparate parts?
Yeah, and I don't think they can afford that right now because you're doing a disservice to Luka and everything he's doing. You have to break that team up and bring some more players in there. You have a team full of average guys. And don't get me wrong, Porzingis is not the only $100 million player in the league that plays like he don't care and don't play with no passion.
Right.
The NBA is full of $100 million players that's not really doing nothing in the league. So they need to find some guys that appreciate the game, that are willing to go out there and put their body on the line and play with passion to give Luka some help. But you need more than one piece over there. They got a lot of average guys over there, and it showed in the last couple of games in this series.
You know, it's funny, Stephen. The game is so different today than it was 15 years ago. The minute they took out the hand check, it's not as physical. You can't stand in front of any of these guards now. And a prime example is LaMelo Ball walks into this league and gives you 20 a night. And I'm like, what? And Trae Young, when he broke into this league, my first impression was he can't guard anybody. He's tiny. And he's a monster. I mean, it's almost like now you can win playing finesse basketball. Like the rules have stipulated it. Does that drive you nuts, or do you just? I mean, do you like watching the game? I watch Atlanta, and I'm like, Trae Young's unstoppable. John Morant's unstoppable. Would you make the league more physical today? Teams like the Knicks are fun, but they got such a low ceiling. They don't have guys that can shoot.
Right. Well, I think they took the physicality away from the game. If you see any other time with Trae Young being a small, I'm a big fan of Ice Trae. But if I was on that team, I'll tell Danny Green, let him come run time, drive to the lane, and I'm gonna lay him down. Make him hit the floor one good time. That's just a part of the game. It's not being dirty. It's just a part of the game. And the game is so soft. As you see when Blake stepped over Giannis's brother, him and T just had a couple words, and they gave them both texts. Like they taking away the trash talking, they taking away the fun out of basketball, and that's what you see. You see a lot of soft plays. The guys don't really want to touch guys, but guys like Kawhi, he gets it. Guys are so talented today, you can't stop anybody. You just have to make it difficult for them.
Yeah.
And that's what Kawhi did. That's what Kawhi did for Luka to be able to get out that series.
Let's go back to the Clippers, because I think Utah's one of those teams we don't talk about. I always compare them to Gonzaga. Until they win a title, nobody's going to trust them. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't. Gonzaga went 31-1, and all we want to talk about is the loss to Baylor, not when they crushed everybody else. But that's fair, because same with Utah. It's like LeBron joked, nobody picked them when we were kids on video games. Nobody picked Utah guys. Like, I get it. They don't win the title. I don't think they can stop Kawhi. They don't have a wing defender. But I will say this. They shoot the hell out of the three. Unlike Dallas, they defend. They're deep. They're not like Dallas. They got 6 guys that can hit a three. Give me your thoughts on that Clippers series with Utah and what kind of transpires, Stephen.
It's going to be interesting to see what the Clippers' big man can do. Is Serge going to be healthy? Is Boogie Cousins going to get a chance? That's what's going to matter. They're going to have to take Rudy Gobert out the game. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell's going to be great. And think about the Utah guard players. They play together.
Yeah.
All around the wing. They play together. They share the ball. It's a lot of one-on-one with the Clippers, but they're going to need to take Rudy Gobert out the game, put DeMarcus Cousins in there, let DeMarcus Cousins bang him up and dunk on him a couple of times. They're going to need everybody. They're going to need their big man this series. They played a whole bunch of smalls against Dallas because Dallas don't have a dominant big man. Well, Utah does, and I think that's going to be the tell of the series. What big man is more dominant?
Finally, when LeBron lost to the Suns, 10 minutes later, he went to the podium and talked for 3 or 4 minutes about Space Jam. And I said, I'm like, man, that ain't Kobe. That ain't Michael. Like, is it a fair criticism to say with LeBron now, he has just moved into basketball's about half of its stage? I mean, I love him as a player, and I think he'll come back and have a good year. But when LeBron did that Space Jam thing, now I'm an old guy, so I think to myself, oh, that doesn't work for me at all. Just go do your Space Jam. Don't do that. Did it bother you at all that he's already moved on? The exit didn't mean anything?
Well, I'm one of those guys that knows that Kobe's Kobe, Jordan's Jordan. We got to stop expecting LeBron to all of a sudden turn into Jordan and Kobe. LeBron is LeBron. They're all great. But LeBron is so successful in his whole life because he only worries about what he can control. And when you do that, you're happier, you're more at peace, and you get more accomplished. But when you sit around and worry about things you can't control, you don't get anything done. I salute LeBron. It probably wasn't what everybody wanted to hear after a loss, all the Lakers fans, but he knows, hey, I can't go take this game back. I got to go on with my life anyway, and I got a movie that I got to promote. Might as well start now.
That's a good take. I like that. Stephen Jackson, great seeing you as always. Continued success on your podcast, which is outstanding. Thanks, bud.
Thanks, my man. Good to see you.